When a vehicle becomes a weapon on a public road, the law does not ask how famous you are. Instead, it will ask who was put at risk. I am addressing this strictly from a legal and public interest perspective. This is my legal opinion as it concerns PELLER's accident a few days ago. It's about investigation, public safety, accountability, and possible prosecution of PELLER if found guilty in any way. A video in circulation shows a public figure, PELLER, making statements indicative of self-harm, followed shortly by a serious road incident involving a collision with fixed objects on the road. The question of intent is a medical and factual matter. What is legally relevant at this time is that the incident occurred in a public space and carried a real risk to other road users. I am not calling for outright or immediate prosecution of PELLER. However, I am calling for investigation, accountability, then possible prosecution under the law if found guilty. Under Nigerian law and criminal law frameworks, including road safety regulations enforced by the Federal Road Safety Commission and other relevant state laws in Nigeria, dangerous or reckless driving on a public road is subject to investigation, irrespective of who is involved or who is affected. Where conduct creates a foreseeable risk of harm to others and then to themselves, authorities are empowered or indeed obligated to act. Mental health crisis does not automatically remove legal responsibilities where third parties are endangered. Nigerian law recognizes that medical care and legal inquiry can proceed simultaneously. One addresses the individual's well-being, while the other addresses the public risk created. This is a critical distinction. If a person is medically unstable, the law allows for protective or supervised measures, subject to due processes. That is not punishment, it is risk management. However, the existence of vulnerability does not justify ignoring potential breaches of traffic or criminal negligence law. Public figures deserve the same rights as every citizen, irrespective of who they are, your status, or your level of influence in Nigeria. But no special exemptions comes into play. Influence, as regards the PELLER, increases visibility, not immunity. So a transparent investigation reassures the public that the rule of law applies equally to everyone, especially where lives could have been lost. There is also a secondary but important issue. Duty of care from his management, his families and friends. Where management or handlers were aware or ought reasonably to have been aware of clear warnings or signs of possible self-harm, questions arises as to whether adequate steps were taken to prevent foreseeable harm. Accountability, where appropriate, must extend beyond the individual to systems and structure around them. Let me be clear to anyone listening. If you are struggling, seek help, not to get involved in possible self-harm. But once emotional distress is taken onto public road and others are placed in danger, the law must intervene, not to criminalize pain, but to protect lives. This is not about making an example of anyone, including PELLER. It is about reinforcing a clear legal principle. Personal crisis does not suspend public responsibility. That is why a lawful investigation is necessary. That is why accountability matters. And that is how the law protects everyone. Thank you for listening.